All right. Hello and welcome back to episode 43 of the Sports Beat Podcast. We've got a special guest, Jay Bush, NFL trainer, like we promised. I got to say again, man, we deeply appreciate you coming on.
Yes, sir, man. Thank you for having me.
And I just really what fascinated me about this is we actually had one of your trainees come on the show. His name is Mikey Daniel. Solid guy, trains hard. And something that I really just wanted to talk about was something that maybe gets overlooked. No, actually, let's go back a bit. Tell me about your journey to becoming an NFL trainer.
Okay, so I went to the University of Southern Mississippi, Conference USA school. Not small, but not big either, not huge. Got my degree in exercise science with the emphasis in human performance. So I've always been around and have been learning about the human body and how it works, how it functions. During my time at Southern Miss, I interned with the football and baseball programs. I also assisted with women's track. So just learning, being around different athletes, I knew that was something I wanted to do. After graduation, I worked at D1 Jackson in Mississippi for 2 years. During that time, I trained a lot of collegiate, also high school athletes, just getting used to training different people of different realms. Also, during my time at D1 Jackson, I was head baseball strength and conditioning coach, at Northwest Rankin High School. I did that for 2 years, and of last year, 2019, a guy I had connected with at IMG Academy contacted me, wanted me to bring me in for NFL Combine. I moved away from Mississippi, 11 hours away, and moved to Bradenton, Florida, where IMG Academy is, and did Combine there, and pretty much the rest is history, man.
Oh, that's awesome, man. It's just kind of funny. I just wanted to hear your side of it because there's a lot of ways. Everybody's got a story, but it's really cool to hear other people's and how they got there and everything.
Sure.
Can you just tell me, something maybe that this is something that maybe might get overlooked by NFL players or trainers as far as their routines go? Like, not a lot of people. Someone as fortunate as yourself gets be around NFL players. Their time and everything. Maybe what's something that gets overlooked that nobody gets to see?
The time away from the camera and away from the social media that is put in to make sure that these guys, their programs are on point, their nutrition is on point, the conditioning, the weight room part is on point. I guess I would say the entire programming as a whole, a lot of people don't see that. They just see the finished product on the field, or like I said, on social media, nobody sees the hours that go into making sure every little detail, every little box is checked. So I would say definitely programming is probably one of the most overlooked things as far as strength and conditioning and training in a whole, because people don't see that. And it's for whatever reason, some people like to keep it confidential. Some people are, don't mind broadcasting what they do and how they program stuff out. I just think it's honestly a talent to be able to program a month, a week, a year out for athletes to make sure they peak at the right time. So I would definitely say programming is probably the most overlooked skill of a strength and conditioning coach at any level.
Awesome. Another thing that I've noticed or that I've heard is, I believe that getting your body right physically, about 80% of it is nutrition and diet, and about and getting the right amount of rest, and then actual training. Can you speak to how important or maybe how difficult it is to train somebody that isn't necessarily on the right diet, but has all the the physical tools?
Yeah, for sure. So one thing I learned a long time ago through experience and through coaching is you can't out-train a bad diet. So you could be the most fluent person on the field, have all the attributes, but if you're not eating and putting the right fuel into your body, you're honestly wasting time, because your body, of course, people say that your body's like a car, and you want to put in the best fuel for performance. There's nothing wrong with having a day where you eat pizza or wings or something like that, but 90% of the time your diet needs to be on point, along with drinking a lot of water and just staying hydrated. Just staying away from those sugary drinks that may come off as, healthy or for athletes. There's really not, man. Water and clean foods, a good protein, a good carb is what you need for performance, and that'll carry you. Guys will understand it. I hate when guys understand it too late, but at the same time, it's never too late to start. I just would like to see more nutrition be up on the front, and I tell people all the time, I'm not a nutritionist, but I have taken some nutrition courses through school and just outside, just learning more about nutrition myself. Because a lot of athletes these days, they want their personal chefs and stuff like that, which is fine, but make sure you're putting the right foods into your body for performance.
And also, this next portion that we're going to kind of segue into here is mental. The mental part of the game, physically training, all that jazz. Can you guys kind of tell me the most important part of that process of getting mentally right, and then also?
Well, definitely around this time with the COVID-19 virus going on, it's definitely a difficult time for athletes because the uncertainty of you don't know when you're going to start, you don't know when you're going to be able to go to the facility, you don't know when you're going to be able to practice. But I always say, and it's one of the things I live by, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So just making sure guys are watching film and reading the playbook. So when the day is called where, hey, we're going to start camp on this day, you're prepared, you're ready, you're 10 steps ahead of everybody else on your team because you put in the work as far as mental, getting yourself prepared. So I always ask athletes I train in the off season. I say, hey, let's say for example today's Thursday. I would say, hey, could you go play a game tomorrow? Would you be in shape? Would you be prepared? Would you be ready? And if that answer is no, then you're not mentally or physically prepared for competition. So you're not actually ready. So I would say definitely the mental aspect, just making sure you're in tune with your mind and your body is just as important as physical training or conditioning or the game itself. Because if your mindset's not right, if your mind's not in the right place, if you're not focused, then you can't be productive on the field.
Mm-hmm. Well, and kind of thank you for bringing up the COVID crisis. How has that kind of affected you, like not necessarily the players, but you guys, trainers from like a planning perspective, just getting everything together?
So I would say when it first started, I don't think anyone anticipated it would last this long. So around in March when it first kind of started shutting things down a little bit, people were saying, hey, we may not be able to do things for a week, and a week turned into a month turned into 2 months, and now here we are in July versus something that happened in, this COVID came around in February, March. Here we are 4 or 5 months later, and we're still trying to get to the point of having some certainty of when we would get back to a sense of normalcy. You know what I mean? So right now, it's just been kind of taking it, honestly, I won't say one day at a time, but you don't want to say, hey, we're going to program this out for 3 weeks, but you may not have your guy there for 3 weeks. But so you don't want to program out, 1 day at a time because it's not necessarily a program. It's just a workout. At that point, it's just workouts. You know what I mean? So just like I said, the uncertainty is a powerful thing. But you just always want to be, again, going back to what I said earlier, just always try to be proactive and catch things up front. You never want to play catch up because then you're behind. So I would always say just trying to handle things up front, keeping the guys engaged, keeping them ready. And, I tell people all the time, football season is going to come back around. It may not be what we're used to, but at some point you're going to play the game again. And when you're going to go to camp and you're going to have, meetings and stuff like that, when you get there, you want to be the most conditioned, the most physically fit, the most prepared mentally person on the team. That's something I live by. I want my guys to be prepared for any situation that they step into. Like I said, this situation is anything like something we've ever had before, but it's a learning situation for coaches, for players, for everybody to say, hey, we have to be, proactive and handle things up front as best as we can because we don't want to be playing catch up when camp comes around.
And that's interesting that you bring that up too. And I think Another thing that I think a lot of people forget is, and I was at one point I was lucky enough to play college football, and I think the biggest thing for me and being around my teammates was making sure that everybody was comfortable around each other. Has that kind of thrown a monkey wrench into things, this whole COVID thing, or is that just kind of something that it just came along with it?
It's kind of out of everyone's control. The leagues and conferences, whatever, want to make rules for what they feel is safe, and I can completely understand that. But at the same time, guys have to train somewhere. They have to work out. They have to run. They have to do all these things at some point. So you can't just shut things down 100%. But you just want to, as a strength coach or a trainer, whatever, you just want to make sure you have the guys ready for when they go. Or whenever that, like I said, whenever that time may be. It has kind of slowed things down a little bit. But it's also, you got to look at the positive. It's giving me and other guys time to, spend more time with family, or, even the players, they're giving them time to spend more time with their family before they go off for camp. So you just got to look at the positives in any negative situation, and just try to make the best out of it.
Absolutely. What about as a trainer? Obviously, you're trying to get guys right, trying to get them as conditioned, strong, both mentally and physically as possible. Right. What about with somebody that maybe experienced an injury? How would you, kind of handle that situation? Because it could be anything from a catastrophic injury to something that a pulled hamstring that's just lingering. How would you handle that situation?
Coming off of COVID or just in general?
Just like a torn ACL, an actual sports related injury. Excuse me.
Okay, yeah. So as a strength coach, part of your job is injury prevention. Maybe not prevention as in we're the people that stop injuries from happening, but we want to reduce the risk of injury. Mm-hmm. So that'll be, if that comes down to perfect programming, if that comes down to guys getting therapy and massages and all the other things, like I said, people don't see. That's important because, like I said, your body is what's making you money right now at this point as a professional football player. So if you're not healthy, you're not going to be able to play. If you can't play, there's no need for you to be on the team. Guys are not going to keep you around if you can't stay healthy. Some of the best NFL, players that could have been, great players weren't healthy. So it may be not. Well, in the NFL, it's a business, and guys understand the next man up. So if you miss a year and somebody comes in and they're better than you and they played you, the team may not have a need for you anymore. So you have to always try to keep your health and your body on point. A lot of soft tissue injuries are happening, pulled hamstrings, torn ACLs. So you just got to put that, as a strength coach, you have to know that in the back of your mind that we want to program. Of course, injuries are going to happen, but you want to program your program should be tailored to reducing the risk of injuries.
Absolutely. Also, and this is something that I think is really important, and I could be wrong here. What about the idea of flexibility? Developing those muscles, but elongating those as well, and making sure that everybody is. I think one of my coaches put it best to me one time is if you take 15 strides in a 40, and you develop that flexibility, and you're taking 10, that's shaving time off that 40.
For sure. Yeah. So I encourage all the athletes that I've ever dealt with and that are still dealing with to do yoga. I encourage, pool work. I encourage, like I said, deep tissue massages, because that your body takes a toll playing football. It's a contact sport. You're gonna get hit. You're gonna get banged up. But you want to stay. You want to be. You're looking for longevity. Once you get to the NFL, it's not about you're playing for the love of the game, but you're also playing for, I want to be, some people want to just go to the NFL. Some people just want to be in the NFL, but that's fine, but the guys I train have that mindset, I want to get to the NFL and stay there. I'm looking for longevity because at this point it's a job, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So if you're not, like I said, flexibility is huge. Like I said, I encourage anybody that I've ever dealt with to train to do yoga. Like I said, massages are great. Pool work, all that type of stuff to just loosen the body up more. Dry needling and acupuncture, all that type of stuff goes a long way. It makes the guys feel good. Cold tub, all that type of stuff. It just it's just another tool in the toolbox to help your body and help you perform as best you can.
One of my a big play, excuse me, a big player that's a favorite of mine is Terrence Newman. He is a corner for the Vikings and the Bengals and the Cowboys. One of the things that I really enjoyed about him, or that really stuck out to me, is I think he played until like 37 or 38. I mean, the guy just never stopped playing. And the one thing that really fascinated me was, and what he said was that red wine played a key role in his playing that long. And now, obviously, not going out and getting drunk and everything, I understand that. But from the terms of, how does that not affect, somebody's diet or issues like that? In your experience, what's your take on that?
I've actually never heard that before.
Oh.
But I know some women do drink red wine while they're pregnant. So I can see how if it doesn't affect the pregnant woman, I don't see how it would affect the football. But at the same time, I'm sure, like I said, I'm sure guys are not going out drinking a full bottle of wine or anything like that.
Yeah.
Just maybe management. Just every now and then, you may have a small glass of wine, and I'm sure whatever you take in, if you're in a hot city, you're probably going to sweat it out the next day in practice. So maybe it may be actually a physical thing, but maybe it could also be a mental thing. You know what I mean? I'm not sure. I've never heard that before, but I definitely want to do more research on it because I've never actually heard that before.
Oh, okay. And then also another question I had here, how can you get a guy that I think of this when I'm about this next question is Adam Thielen. A guy that maybe might not be the most or not look like the most athletically gifted, but a guy that puts in a ton of work, and all of a sudden he's a dude. How do you explain that, or just kind of look at somebody that might not be the most athletically gifted and then turn them into somebody that everybody's like, wow.
Yeah, it's just the underdog mentality, man. So one of the blessings that I get to work with guys that have a chip on their shoulder already. So it's not really hard to motivate guys who've been overlooked. I found out the guys that it's hard to motivate guys are the guys that are already pretty good. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The guys that know, hey, I'm a good player, I'm, making a lot of money, whatever. Sometimes those are the hardest guys to motivate versus the guy that's undrafted or the guy that, is the third string right now, but they want to work into a starting position. You don't have to motivate those guys necessarily as much from my personal experiences, and everybody has those different experiences, but just dealing with guys that have that chip on their shoulder already makes my job 10 times easier because I don't have to say, hey man, you weren't drafted. Hey man, you're on the bottom of the depth chart right now. They already have that in their mind. That just goes back to the mindset of players individually. The guy that was supposed to be a first round pick but maybe slid down to the fourth round because of the 40 time. Mm-hmm. So just dealing with that on the front end, knowing it's also fun to kind of see how far you can push guys as a strength and conditioning coach, saying, hey man, you're not looking as fast as you were last year. You're not looking as fluent. They're bringing a rookie in to replace you. Just stuff like that. Getting guys motivated is fun because you get to see how far you can push, and it makes them work harder when they know that, hey man, this guy actually cares about me, and it's all coming from a good place. So motivating guys, in my personal experience, hasn't ever been an issue because a lot of the guys I work with already have that chip on their shoulder and they're already self-motivated.
Oh, awesome. This next question is going to be kind of, and this will be our last question. I'll let you get on with the night. What is this is such a cliche question, but I mean, as an NFL trainer, you're around the game, you're around the players. What's your favorite part about your job?
I would say the relationship that you build. Of course, when you're training for an hour and a half or whatever, 2 hours out the day, it's time to work. But when you're not training and you get to talk with these guys and hang out with these guys and see what these guys actually like, what they don't like, I look at myself as like I said, a tool in the toolbox. I'm just here as an asset to them on their journey as a professional athlete. And it's just the relationship that I built with NFL players and college players, high school, whatever. I'm really, really big on relationships, so I feel like any of the guys that I've ever dealt with or trained or anything will tell you that they know that I look at them as, brothers, and they know I have their best interest at heart. I always want to be a person they can talk to about sports, about things outside of sports. So anytime they want to talk to me, anytime they need something, they know I'm one phone call away. If there's anything I can do to help them, I will. If I can't help, I will find somebody that can. So I would just definitely say the relationships and just learning more about people's stories, because, you may not meet a guy until they're already in the NFL, but you don't know the story that they came before they got there, how they had to get there, what obstacles they had to overcome, what they had to go through, how college was for them, how were they in high school. And, of course, most of the guys that get to the NFL, excluding a few, were high level high school athletes, college athletes. So just, you go from being the man to, being a rookie, and you go from being a rookie to being a vet. So just that transition, that journey that gets them to that point. And I also like to just understand what's their why, what's their reason for waking up every morning, putting their body on the line every Sunday, putting their body on the line, for their team, for their organization. Just what's your why? What motivates you? What wakes you up every morning? What gets you out of bed? Just learning that about players, and just, like I said, getting that story and getting that background from them. I just think that all ties into building relationships with them. And I say the relationships, I enjoy that more than actually training them. I enjoy that more than, pushing them every day as far as running or weight training. I enjoy just actually being around them and learning more about them and building a relationship with them than I do anything else.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I really respect that, especially coming from, from anybody that just, because there's football and then there's also relationships too. That's awesome. But no, once again, I just want to deeply say, from the bottom of my heart, deeply appreciate you coming on. It means more than you absolutely know.
Man, I appreciate you for asking me, man. Thank you for giving me a chance to, use my platform, how big that is, to just come on and help. Maybe I help someone. I just appreciate it. To me, it means the world to me. I thank you for taking the time out, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And make sure you guys give him a follow on all social media platforms. Go ahead on Twitter and Instagram. That's Jay Bush for coming on the show. You guys can join us again for the second part of episode 43 tomorrow night. Until then, peace out. All right, so cards on the table. Next week, we will be back for episode 44. I know I said second part of episode 43 would be tonight. Turns out Tristan's got some stuff going on, so we're going to push everything till next week. So appreciate you guys joining us with Mr. Bush tonight. But we'll be joined by Garrett Gronland and Mr. Ben Conant next week, so I'm excited for that. So make sure you guys tune in and be ready to go. Until then, peace out.